Hi everybody. Looking forward to seeing you guys in class on Wednesday. And I wanted to go over the lecture that we have coming up on fixed overhead in chapter 15. I know that we have a tight schedule coming up next couple of weeks, and I want to see how the exam went. I'll be looking at that as soon as I get back Tuesday and hopefully have it to you on Wednesday. So I'm sure you guys did really well, and I'm looking forward to looking at it. So for this lecture, I wanted to get you guys ready in advance because we're going to have the homework due on Friday, November 1st. So I want to have you guys almost finish the homework and then just wrap it up in class so you could hand it in on Friday. So with this chapter, the first thing I wanted to go over is the main overview. So this chapter is about fixed overhead. And the idea, this is the summary of the chapter. So I'm going to start with where we're trying to go to. It says in the summary, total fixed overhead cost variance, which is also called total over or under applied fixed overhead for the period. This variance can be decomposed into a fixed overhead spending variance and a production volume variance. The former variance is defined as the difference between the actual fixed cost overhead costs and the budgeted fixed overhead costs for the period. So what we're trying to get to is this idea of capacity. And we're trying to say if a business has a certain amount of fixed cost, which is X, right? And that's going to be rent, utilities, insurance, whatever, right? And say you're going to produce, you can produce up to 500 units. But the idea is, say you're producing either 100 units or 700 units. So we're saying, listen, your capacity is X, right? Now, the cost, the full capacity, say that corresponds to, usually you're budgeting for X to produce 500 units, right? Now, if you're going to produce 100 units versus 700 units, we're just saying, listen, there's a certain price per unit that you can allocate your overhead amount, which is X. So the idea is, if you plan on doing 500, that's your full capacity. If you do 100, the idea is that you're wasting some of the capacity. Or if you're doing 700, is that you're stretching beyond capacity. You're having a favorable one. And if you're not using capacity, that could be an issue. That could drive certain business decisions. So the idea is to think about, if you're underutilizing, what effects will you have on the business? And if you're overutilizing, same thing. What's going to happen to the business? I mean, if you're underutilized, think about, I'm going to use in a moment a case study with you guys for continuing with chiropractic university, for a chiropractic business, and say this is all treatments we're talking about. Now, if you're underutilizing your capacity, what kind of business decisions would you do? Maybe you only need to come in 3 times a day. Maybe you're only doing 100 treatments a month instead of 500. Why pay all that rent? Maybe you could sublease your office to another doctor. Maybe you don't need to have another chiropractic table. You need to reduce the equipment amount that you own. Now, if you're overutilized, you have too many clients, you have too many patients coming in, you only have room for 500 a month, but you're getting 700 a month. So the idea is, okay, maybe I need to get another patient room. They're too tight, they're back to back. So I'm going to need to expand my business. I need to get a secretary. I need to get more equipment. So this variance, I'm going to read it again here. Total fixed overhead cost variance is called over under applied fixed overhead for the period. So this is the over under applied that I'm talking about in terms of also how much each unit is worth, but I'm saying in units first. And then this variance is decomposed into fixed overhead spending variance and production volume variance. So I'm going to go into those definitions with you, and then we're going to go over a case study.